Hello, I'm Apex Dova,
I'm Cowboy Bebop Crew.
and welcome to Concepts of a Podcast, Episode 9. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe on YouTube, like, rate us 5 stars on Spotify, answer the poll at the end of the episode, and yeah, that's it. Oh, and if you have feedback, email feedback to conceptsofapodcast at gmail.com. It'll be in the description.
Or leave it in the comments.
Yep. Leave it in the comments. All right, today's episode 9, Mo Money, Mo Problem. We thought of this episode because we wanted to. Well, I thought of this episode because I like the idea of like how money, the intersection of money and like everything in our lives, basically, and how
Yep.
we think about it and stuff. So,
And we kind of already talked a little bit about this in the adulthood episode about, bills, rent being too dang high, and a lot of different financial responsibilities you have as an adult. But we figured we'd go into further detail. All right. So where do you want to start us off, Apex?
all right. So I'm gonna start with financial literacy and education. For starters, I think it's like this is not me getting on a soapbox or anything, but I think it is like kind of an issue, a big problem that like at least me personally, and I think other people have gone through this as well. You don't really run into financial literacy and education until you get much further into like education. Like I learned about it. I started actually getting actual like lessons and stuff on it in my master's program. And I feel like it's the kind of thing like if especially if you're going to college, getting into crazy debt, it's the kind of thing you should just be exposed to like way in advance. Like
100% agree. For me, like, I didn't see any financial education until literally I got out of professional school. Professional school didn't teach me about it. Grad school kind of taught me about it in the sense of like very, very small like lessons about like doing like the math of becoming like an administrator essentially. But no, like generally speaking, I 120% agree with you. The only way that I really learned about it was through like a financial advisor and then through like my own independent studies, like, which is a
and
shame.
yeah, now that I think about it, it's almost like, you go through high school, they're like, we don't expect you to make any real money. You go to college, okay, maybe you'll make real money, but then you have to go to grad school. It's like, oh, he's actually gonna do something with his life. Okay, you might make some real money.
Exactly. I feel like honestly, the whole talking about money and financial education, it's not a bug, it's a feature. I think it's intentional in my opinion, but again,
Yeah, and I feel like because education itself needs like reworks in so many different ways,
hmm
but I feel like if education were reworked from the ground up, elementary through K through 12, um, incorporating financial literacy should be a huge component of that rework. I don't
completely
know how
agree.
you would go about it. I mean, it's not like kids can't learn or understand how money works. You can do, but it also kind of goes into like socioeconomic factors. Like I didn't, for example, I didn't grow up with like an allowance growing up, but I would get some money for doing chores and stuff.
hmm
So I mean, I don't know. It's weird. There's so many factors. So I don't
Yeah.
even know how you would incorporate it early on.
I mean, they do some things like in grade school, they teach you how to count money, and I feel like they could have extensions from there to teach you like, hey, bank accounts help you save money, and like, and then maybe in high school or college teach you about like, the stock market or like other avenues of how to better
Taxes.
save. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like different ways that you could like earn or save money, you know what I mean? But like again, like I think college is so open-ended. Like I agree with you. How do they begin to teach that formally? I guess they would probably maybe have to address it in high school where things are more structured, I guess.
It's kind of wild because like you turn 18, you finish high school, you're thrown into the world. Hey, when you do a job, you got to do your taxes. No one tells you this. Like that's just a wild like transition. Like I don't even
Yep.
think like economics is like required knowledge in high school, and it's like it's wild.
Yep.
There's so much that's just dysfunctional about that whole system. So um Yeah, that's just a whole other can of worms. But let's see. There are like I I one of my former roommates actually really got me informed on like financial literacy by recommending some books. I'm trying to remember
Hmm.
the book he recommended. It was like it was some book, but and my brothers have been interested in that kind of stuff too, like because it's also financial literacy is also adjacent to like businesses and employment, like self employment and investing.
Was it like the Rich Dad Poor Dad or something
It
like
was
that?
Rich Dad Poor Dad, but there was another book I think I read. Oh, I think it was like maybe How to Be a Millionaire God's Way, or it was some book. I have it somewhere. I'd have to look for it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was an interesting read. I think the book that I read broke down like the four different types of income, for lack of a better phrase. There was like investing, business owner, self-employed,
Yep.
and uh, W-2 worker, like W-2 worker, like hourly worker.
Hmm.
And yeah, yeah. I mean, that's where I actually started getting financial literacy education out aside from what I learned in grads in my master's program. Well, before then, I mean, I may have heard things here and there, but I didn't really get any like concrete knowledge on it.
Yeah, same. And especially like when crypto started creeping into the market, like I didn't know what that was for the longest time. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
again, we don't get any real formal education on these things, which is really kind of a shame. It really does us a disservice, you know?
yeah,
Um, but yeah,
yeah. Crypto, especially. Like I remember I heard about Bitcoin way back in college. Like I remember like even as early as like '09, I remember hearing about it when those things were like maybe not pennies. Well, yeah, maybe pennies on the dollar. They were super cheap.
yep,
I remember hearing about it. And I remember hearing about how this guy named Gutex that talked about how it'd be hilarious to like money match people and bet with Bitcoin and like fighting games and like fighting game tournaments and stuff.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, Gutex.
yeah, yeah, Gutex is a character. But anyway, yeah, I remember hearing about it, and I remember at the time, even especially in college, I remember in college is when I really, I mean, I didn't work in high school or have much money in high school, but college is when I started working and I had money. Well, some semblance of money. And
Yeah.
that's when I remember I first realized, like, you know what? All my money, like, I always used like a debit card. I never carried cash or anything. And I really was like, I was all into like the whole digital era of money, even way back then. This is like '03, '04 and beyond. So it's like, I would have went all into Bitcoin, or no, not all in, but I would have went into it if I had money to invest in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could have been
Yeah.
on a completely different timeline.
Yeah, same. I
Oh
feel like if I
man,
knew about it from the beginning and I knew what it was and what its potential was, I think I probably would have at least invested a little bit, which would have been a lot at that time. Like I probably would have put in like 50, $60, which is the cost of like a video game. You know what I mean? And that 50 to
yeah,
$60 when it's like pennies on the dollar, like would have been a fairly good investment at that time. And just probably just sat on it from there because again, it's a like relatively speculative investment at that time. Nobody knows where it's going. Just let it ride. You know what I mean? And see where it goes.
yeah,
But uh hindsight's
yeah,
2020.
yeah. And like, I think, I mean, also like, there's a lot behind how people view money, like even across different cultures. Um, even if you, I don't know like the origins of currency and money, but from what I vaguely remember from history, it kind of emerged in society as like a facilitator for trade. It started out with like people trading stuff, then money was introduced sometime at some point
Hmm.
into society as like an intermediary and like a stored value for things. So, but I remember very recently actually hearing on TikTok how this one person. I think it was this lady that she like either braids hair or does hair or something like that, or like
Mm-hmm.
she's like an esthetician or something. She's kind of like she takes money, but she's also open ended about the things that she'll take. Like she'll take, I don't know, she'll barter with people, and she kind of advocates for like a return to more open ended exchanges of services and stuff. I thought that was kind of cool
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
because I don't know. I feel like money. Maybe this is just me. I feel like money at the end of the day is just like kind of nothing. It it's like yeah, you can get things with money, but like it's like the classic example. If you are on a deserted island, you know, would you rather have $1 million or a million sandwiches or something? I don't know.
The sandwiches at that point become the currency.
Yeah. Um, but like even the money's always going to be like, I want to get something with the money.
Yep.
And just because it's going in that direction, it's like after a certain point, how much stuff do you need to get with money? Like, that goes into a whole other like discussion of ultra wealth and stuff. But it's like after a certain point, like how much do you really need? But
Yep.
yeah, that's I guess I could transition into the I have a talking point here, the time value of money. Are you familiar with that concept, Cowboy?
No, go ahead. Explain.
Okay, this was really explained to me in my master's. It was an MBA, so in my MBA program. But basically, I may be completely misremembering this, but from what I remember, if I remember correctly, it was the idea that like it was a concept like where money, time value of money. How do I should have written the definition, but if I remember correctly, it's like you can either invest money. Well, no. Like, okay, let me just give an example. Say you take a loan and you have to repay the loan at like 10%, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you take the money and you invest it in something that has like this is a crazy example, but a 20% return,
Yeah.
you're basically taking advantage of the time value of money. And that
Mm.
like your return from investing pays back the loan and then you make money off the investment.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah, so like when you think of money, like even repaying things, you want to think of how you're you're basically at a net positive when you're dealing with money. Like how are you putting your money to the best use, basically?
So that makes sense. I got a financial advisor after I finished professional school, and so one of the things they kind of educated me on was about, I guess, the time value of money without saying it explicitly. Because when I got out, I was like, hey, I'm going to hyper aggressively pay down my loans. I'm going to hyper aggressively do X, Y, and Z. And they were like, you could do that, or you could invest it and make a higher percent interest on your investment compared to like how much you'd be paying on your loans. Like, and I was just like, oh, hmm. And so I ended up going with the investment strategy, and so far it's been working out fairly well. Still paying down my
Yeah,
loans, but still kind of like aggressively investing to make more money so that like again, like if I really needed to, I can take that money and pay down my loans much faster. But
yeah,
yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense actually.
yeah, and like it's kind of interesting in a way because like I know I've had like random debts and stuff on like my credit report, for example. Um, you know, income and stuff goes up over time, but like debts on your credit report, they don't go up. There's no interest rate attached to them. So like really the longer it takes you to get back to paying them, the better position you should be in to where you're paying back the same amount, but you just have more money. And the I think the point of interest rates is to account for things like inflation and stuff, how money's value depreciates over time.
Hmm.
So it kind of makes sense. But yeah, the time value, if I remember correctly, is a very interesting concept. And like I think if we thought of things more with that in mind, that could be like I feel this would be like a foundation or framework to like make decisions when it comes to money.
Yeah. I don't know how connected it is, but I remember learning as a kid at some point from my parents. They would tell me that time is money and money is time. So basically, you're going to exchange one or the other.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it gives you a very basic but helpful framework for like how you want to spend your time or how you want to spend your money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, do you want to transition into talking about how games teach us about money? Or you
Um,
got more on the time value of
yeah, just
money?
one last thing.
Yeah, go for it.
It's just off what you said. I think when it comes to like I'm of the opinion that when it comes to trading my time for something versus trading my money, I'm more inclined to just trade money to just do stuff because I value my own time more highly. So like I'm more like if I had the money, I'd just throw money at all my problems and then take my time to the things I really want to do, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
100% agree.
yeah,
I think for me, it's like it's dynamic in a sense because sometimes, for example, like I don't know, I get bored, so I'm like, let me sign up for an additional shift and make some more money. Or sometimes I know I'm going to be doing a major trip or doing a major activity, so I'm like, oh, let me sacrifice time now to make more money so I can enjoy this experience or enjoy this thing or whatever that much more. Um, but yeah, it's like in a fighting game sense, I think of like money is almost like meter management. You know what I mean? Like in Street Fighter, you have like EX moves or supers, and like you're gonna end up like expending some of your meter, and basically you have to make sure that you have enough meter basically to like put yourself in a good situation or
yeah,
get yourself out of a bad situation. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, but yeah,
yeah. But yeah, okay. So learning about money in video games is I thought of this topic kind of specifically because of my experience in Final Fantasy 14. In
mm,
Final Fantasy 14, like I was, for lack of a better phrase, in the 1%. Like I had a house, a medium house. So if you know the game, like there's like small, medium, and larges, which was worth like
mm.
millions. I had property. It was developed. Like I was on the market boards. Like I was
He
a big
was
time.
the Elon or Jeff Bezos of Final Fantasy
I
14,
wasn't
apparently.
quite that, but I was definitely up there. There's like one dude, like he maxed out the guild count on his on multiple accounts. I'm just like, okay, you're the Eli. Like he couldn't make any more money on accounts. It was kind of crazy.
That is kind of crazy.
But
Uh, but
it
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
the thing I find interesting or weird about like in video games, I'm totally okay with working hard, making money and just accumulating a lot of wealth. But I maybe because it's just not as easy in real life, or it's like not as like you can work hard, but you're still not guaranteed to um just accumulate a lot of wealth. I don't know, but I mean, I'm willing to work hard. Given the opportunity, I would work hard to make a lot of money. But I guess the opportunities don't come as easily in real life.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, you're right. Video games definitely do give us like I think kind of like silently education on money. Like I think I wrote down a few points. Basically that like basically a lot of video games have some kind of currency system because again, you want to be able to buy things whether it's weapons, whether it's recovery items, whether it's armored for defense, you know what I mean? Um and basically in order to like use that system, you want to be able to save up money in order to buy the things that you want. The other thing is, you basically have to evaluate the return on an investment on the things that you end up purchasing. So, like if you have to look at the items, figure out what the perks, the pros versus the cons are, whether their attack and defense match what you're looking for, and like whether the output's going to be what you think it's going to be, and basically buy those things and figure out what your return's going to be, or figure out what the best return on your investing is going to be based on the things that you could buy. And then last but not least is about kind of what you mentioned before, which is grinding more money. So in games, like it kind of rewards us in multiple different senses of grinding out money. Kind of like you said in Final Fantasy 14, you can buy houses, you can like probably buy like I don't know, more items and things. You can sell things on the market to make more money if you needed to. There's a lot of different avenues that they kind of silently teach us about how to like manage money or our expectations with money, which I think is kind
Yeah,
of cool.
And for myself, from my experience with games, I I can kind of understand how um billionaires exist basically, because it's like in a game it's like you get super wealthy and you're like,
Hmm.
you know what, I just want more money. And you start getting to the areas where you start speculating on things and being like, okay, this patch is coming out, so let's start buying up this resource because it's going to be valuable. And you just start planning ahead. And having money lets you do that kind of stuff, which is
So
kind of
when you
fun.
when you say you can understand billionaires in Final Fantasy 14, so you're saying you start exploiting the working class, is what you're saying?
uh, no comment. I don't want my account deleted. So, but it also reminds me of this other game I played, where um, do I want to give the name and be judged or whatever? I'll give the name because the name has since changed. I think it's I think it's called, when I played it was called like Diva Producer or something like that.
What
It was
kind
a
of game is
game.
that? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it was a game where you managed pop idols. And the funniest thing about the game was um it got to the point like you were like a talent agency person, a talent agent, and then you could join other talent agents and like a I forget what I think they were called, groups, like financial groups of with other players and stuff. It
Hmm.
got to the point where like I was in this really big group, and like we would and when you have a big group, you could eventually put your group's business on the stock market in the game.
Okay.
And we would for lack of a better phrase, we'd manipulate the stock market of the game. It was kind of fascinating how it emerged, but also kind of because like there'd be people that'd be like, all right, um, we're going to tank this group and buy up a bunch of it and then like raise it up really fast. And it was kind of crazy. I was like, you know what? I see why this stuff happens in real life.
My
Honestly, I
God.
feel like it probably happens in real life because people don't have games to do it. Like, but
It's just funny to
yeah,
me that like literally I feel like looking at what you did in that game and thinking about the reality we live in, that like I feel like there's so many of us that are playing different games in terms of money. Like the fact that some people can actually manipulate the market, or they have
yeah,
insider trading or things like that. I'm just like we're all playing varying degrees of a different of the same game. Some of us
yeah,
are playing wildly differently when they have like so many different options for making money. And like some of us like are playing very restricted games where it's like all you have to do is work your W-2 job.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Or maybe your small business at best. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. Yeah, it's wild though. But I'm like, you know what? I see how these mentalities emerge, sadly, and I'm just like, but like even with my experience in Final Fantasy 14, even though I had a lot, I was pretty like quote unquote wealthy. I still helped out the other players. Like I'd help out people as much as possible. Like I had like all the crafters max, so I would like craft things for people, and I did a lot of philanthropy. So um, yeah, that's where I also got enjoyment in. So
must be nice. So
yeah,
some of my experiences in gaming, specifically that I can remember with money, the first experience I had was Earthbound, right? Earthbound is basically a Super Nintendo RPG made by the same people that make Smash Brothers, HAL Laboratories, basically, or HAL. Um, and basically, it's a game where you're kind of like a child and you kind of traverse the world to try and save the world from like this evil alien named Gygas, right? But anyway, in the game, the currency is basically like the normal currency that you have in the US, which are dollars. And so your parents would basically load money onto your bank account when you would call them, because you'd have to call them periodically throughout the game to save the game. So they'd be like, "Oh, I like sent you like I don't know $200 to your bank account." So one, it taught you about having a bank account and the utility of that, and then the way that you would you know like save or use money is through an ATM. So you'd have to go to an ATM and you could deposit money from like sales or money that you found, or you could withdraw money from your parents that your parents had given you in your bank account in order to purchase items in game, right? The other one was Animal Crossing. And I know I kind of talked about Animal Crossing before with the Adulthood episode. So Animal Crossing, I thought it was funny again that they start you off in debt, because I thought that that was kind of like very eerily representative of adulthood, because like we kind of start off, at least in the US, in debt because our educational system is basically for profit. Um, but
Or
in
even like
Animal Crossing,
mortgages and stuff, or yeah,
yeah, exactly, or mortgages or whatever. But the thing about Animal Crossing is they have something called the stock market, similar to the stock market, where basically you buy turnips, and like the turnip prices basically fluctuate from day to day. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to time it so that you can buy low and sell high, a la the stock market, which is actually silently again teaching us about the values of like investing on the stock market, which is kind of cool.
yeah,
Um, but the third one was, and I think this is a little bit maybe of a metaphor, maybe slightly a stretch. I don't think they really intended for this. Third one are the Soulsborne games, which, if you play the Soulsborne games, I think you know where I'm going with this. So basically, you kill enemies, you get souls or whatever currency it might be, runes, souls, blood. I think in Bloodborne, I can't
Blood
remember what it's called.
Echoes. I think it was
Yeah,
Bloodborne.
blood. Yeah, blood echoes. I think.
I think it
In
was
Bloodborne.
Sin and Sekiro.
Yeah. And so what you would do is you'd use that currency from killing enemies or killing bosses and finding it to upgrade yourself basically. And so for me, I think of that as a metaphor as like using money to basically enhance yourself, whether that's in terms of education, whether that's in terms of experiences, to basically further yourself so that you can get better and better and better. You know what I mean? So I feel like games, different varieties of games teach you silently about money, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So maybe in a way, like um, financial literacy has been what is it? Delegated to video games, sadly. And I guess it also raises the question, like, if you were to put it in school, like, it would probably just be boring anyway. Like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah. So
And I feel like sometimes the best way to learn is through a game, because again, like you said in Final Fantasy 14, like you can do this with basically little to no risk to yourself. You can basically like, or the Diva simulator, the Diva producer, whatever it is, like you're doing this in a safe environment where you can like lose everything and be like, whoopsies. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, and still like either recover or start a new game and be like, okay, now I know the rules better. I can play this game much better. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Versus reality, like you go bankrupt, you're gonna get heavily punished. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's just
And that does remind me of in my MBA program, my last course was like on, I think it's called strategic planning,
mhm.
and there was like, for lack of a better, can I talk about this? I guess I'm out of the
You
program. I
might
don't
as
know if they
well.
would. I don't know if they would. I don't think they would take my the degree from me or something. But that was basically like this business simulator, where like through over the course of the course, no pun intended, or I don't know, you would run a business, and the business would like react to your actions throughout the course, or the businesses in the business simulator would react to your actions and stuff. It was a
Mhm.
pretty interesting business simulator. I remember hearing from the professor that like pretty much everyone was doing kind of terribly, but the course was designed to like challenge you and also like see how you adapted, and also like um, even if you're doing terribly, you could still be adapting and using the things you know to kind of like recover and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I just remember she said I did pretty well. Like, and I was like, well, yeah, it was a game basically, and like as a game, I was like, you know what, I can see why people kind of treat businesses like games. Like, it made sense to me.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was
Um
pretty cool.
I think one of the other things that we were gonna talk about was what? Student loan, getting
Yeah,
student loans and the return on investment on student loans.
yeah. I have a little topic. Uh, yeah, this talking point. Curious about the return on investment on student loans. I don't know if we talked about this in the previous episode, but I know we may have talked about this off the record. But I was curious about that. What does this article say about that you found?
Okay, so the basic key findings are that there is a return on investment based on college education, and that it increases your lifetime earnings, right? Um, Minus the cost of college, of course. For different degrees, and it's variable based on the degree that you get. So, like, if you get a degree in like engineering versus a degree in like art, of course, you're going to have differences on your return on investment. They mentioned that bachelor degree programs have a median return of investment of 160,000, but the payoff again varies by field. Engineering, computer science, nursing, and economics basically have the highest return on investment, which makes sense. Um, they said associate and certificate programs have variable return on investment depending on the field of study. And then they say 2-year degrees in liberal arts have no return on investment, while certificates in technical trades have a higher payoff than typical bachelor's degrees. Um, Nearly half of all the master's degree programs, sadly, leave students financially worse off, which kind of sucks. But
That's
they said,
relatable.
wow.
No, that's all I'll say on it.
But they do say professional degrees like law, medicine, dentistry basically are highly lucrative. And then um, they said also a third of federal Pell Grant and student loan funding pays for programs that do not provide students with a return on investment. So, okay, TLDR, it's variable based on your college degree, your college field of study. Professional degrees definitely are lucrative, meaning that they pay more, pay a lot, I guess, or you have a very high return on investment. If you are going to go to college and you want a good return on investment, focus on like STEM, so science, technology, education, well, engineering and math, sorry, degrees. And they said that basically associate degrees have variable levels of return of investment. Again, the highest level of return of investment is typically going to be technical uh, fields or technical trades. And that basically master's level degrees basically will more often than not leave you worse off, which kind of sucks.
Yeah. The thing with master's level degrees, though, I mean, they usually lead into something further along the way. So if you stop at masters, you may be worse off.
Yeah.
Like, but I do remember there was I forget what she was. She was like a job coach, job consultant, something like that. That was saying that if you get into a master's program, make sure you have some kind of internship or something that you're doing during or lined up to go into afterwards,
Hmm.
which they should tell you during the master's program, but whatever. But I wish I'd done that in advance, but yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think the other thing of that was master's program, not going to leave you with much return on investment is oh, if you work for the government, that was the other thing I was going to remember. So if you work for the government basically you can increase your pay level based on your level of education. So actually, in that sense, going for like a master's degree or a professional degree or any basically higher level degree of education, PhD, master's, whatever, MD, JD, whatever, will increase your level of pay and basically like you work your way up from there, which is nice. So that could be a benefit if you want to go into work for like the, I don't know, CDC or the, I don't know, Department of Defense or whatever you're going to work for.
Yeah. All right. Did you
Um,
want to go into this last topic on the stock market? You
yeah, I
kind
mean,
of,
we kind of
yeah.
already talked about with the stock market, but yeah, basically it's just another avenue that you can make a lot of money. Basically have your money working for you. And I feel like again, it's kind of a shame that they don't really teach us that in I mean, grade school might be a little bit too early, but I feel like high school students probably have could have a decent grasp of the basics of the stock market, and college students definitely could have a good grasp of the stock market. It's a shame that, like, again, we have to go and get an MBA or go get a fairly high level of education in order to like start learning about those things.
Yeah.
But yeah. Um, but anything else you want to talk about, Apex? Anything else? Any
I think
last
I'm
comments?
good. Those are all a lot of the, I mean, there's probably a ton of different directions we can go on this. So, yeah, but that's all. Those are most of the biggest things that came to mind when I thought up this topic.
Okay, so cool. All right, so again, that's the end of this episode. Appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Make sure to give us 5 stars on Spotify, and also comment and do the poll on Spotify. But yeah, that's it. So I'm Cowboy Bebop Crew.
I'm Apex Dope, man.
We'll see you next time.
Late
See you
now.
guys.